Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips on pendulum swimming. Let's get into it. Alright guys, I'm here with clear water just so you can see me and the surroundings a little easier. The first tip is to not move your wrist when you're pendulum swimming. The only time you want to move it is when you're at the top of your swing. When you get all the way to the top, that's the only time you want to turn your wrists so they're at the 45-degree angle. I see a lot of people, they usually mess up because they'll bring their hands down from here and they'll start twisting their hands and it'll just mess them up. So when you're doing it, don't like look down here because you're gonna be like you're gonna try to switch them down here and that's not gonna work. You need to switch them when they're all the way up here. Just turn them, you keep them straight, and then you turn them again. This tip is a new tip because when I made my pendulum swims tutorials, this actually wasn't a thing back then. But now, whenever you're pendulum swimming, your head, where it's looking, actually matters. So if I look up while I pendulum swim straight, you can see I go up. And if I do the same thing while looking down, I go down. And it's not even me changing my arms at all. It's just based on where my head is looking. So make sure when you're pendulum swimming, you're looking straight forward so that it's always the same each time. So you go completely straight forward. Alright, the third tip is kind of the same thing about keeping your whole body straight and your head straight. Because a lot of people, when they start pendulum swimming, they like to look at their hands while they're doing it. And they'll kind of do this thing where they turn back and forth while they're pendulum swimming. And that makes it harder to see where you're going. And it also kind of just messes you up because you can't get into the nice rhythm when you're going straight forward and you can't use that momentum. So make sure you're not like turning your body at all. Make sure it's just completely straight. Your hands are the only thing that should be moving. All right, tip number 4. This one's really important. Make sure you're using momentum, right? So when you start pendulum swimming, you'll feel your hands going like back and forth, up and down like this. And you got to make sure you conserve that. You shouldn't be like stopping them in any weird spot. You want them to kind of like flow naturally. Let gravity pull your hands down on one side and then carry it through to the other side. And then once they're here, just give it a light push and push down. Instead of like trying to pull your hands up, it's kind of just a light push downwards and letting your hands kind of glide back and forth using your shoulders, kind of make your shoulders loose so that they can just swing on their own. This will help you a lot because if people are chasing you, you won't get tired as fast. You can kind of just swing. Like I'm using very little energy by just swinging like this. All right, tip number 5, make sure your hands are somewhat close together when you pendulum swim. The reason being is when they're farther away and you bring your hand up like this, you can see my left arm, it kind of just gets to here. It doesn't get all the way up here. And that's a lot of swing that you're missing out on, and which is also a lot of like momentum and a lot of speed that you could be losing because you're not bringing your hands all the way up together. Now, I'm not saying like you should touch them, because if you touch them, it's kind of weird and your shoulders will feel awkward. But make sure it's at least like around this close. You don't want to be too far away, or you're literally just going to be missing out on some speed. So try to keep them a little closer when you're going, and make sure that when you're going all the way up, they're somewhat close together on both sides. They shouldn't be, one shouldn't just be down here, kind of just being loose. Tip number 6, you have to find the best spot for your hands when they go up. This can be different for a lot of different people. For me, I like to stop around a little bit above my head when I'm swinging. That's where I naturally do. The reason being, right, is let's go to both extremes. So if I have my hands here, I can go really fast, but you can see I'm not really getting my hands far enough to like displace a lot of water, so I'm not going to move that fast. But if I do the opposite and I swing as high as like possibly can, like above my head, it's going to slow me down a lot. You can see I go a little faster there, but I just can't do this reliably like fast, and it kind of hurts when I do it. So make sure you find a spot that feels comfortable, it's not hurting your shoulders, but also you can basically do it as fast as possible. That'll give you the most speed. Also, sorry guys if I'm like randomly pausing when I'm talking. It's kind of hard to pendulum swim and talk at the same time. I lose my breath really fast. Alright, so this one's a little bit more for jumping. Tip number 6. If you're swimming and you're trying to get better at jumping out of the water, make sure you can do one-handed pendulum swim. So the way you do this, I think I explained this before, but it's really basically the same thing as a normal pendulum swim. It's just you're using it with one hand And the main difference is you can get way higher with your hand that you're using. I use my right hand. Actually, you have to use your right hand because left hand is the only hand you can dive turn with. But what you want to do is dive turn with your left hand. Your right hand, it needs to go way higher than it usually does. Usually when I come over here, right, I kind of end right about here with my right hand. It's kind of near my face. But when you're doing one-handed, you can get it like basically where your left hand was. And you can swing it really high. Like I usually get above my head when I'm doing one-handed with my right hand, just because it's way easier to swing, and I can kind of tilt my body a little bit to the left so that my hand can get even higher up there. And you can see I kind of do more of a rocking motion, like a way more exaggerated when I'm doing one-handed, just because it's easier to keep balance. And you really need your right hand to move so that you don't lose a lot of speed. You lose tons of speed if you don't do this right. You can be going really fast and then mess up when you're going up and you lose tons of speed. And yeah, that's where I see a lot of people mess up when they're trying to hit top zip or entrance or something like that. They'll have tons of speed and then they'll just start dive turning up. They'll use their one hand and they'll lose all their speed right there. So make sure you're really good with the right hand. You honestly should be able, let's see if I can go do it. You should be comfortably able to hit top zip with just your right hand if you're trying to go for something like entrance. You want to be able to get a lot of speed with just your right hand like this. And then jump. Hold up, let me see if I can make entrance like this. I gotta try now. You can see like how much I practice with just my right hand, just because it's so important. You'll lose so much speed if you're not good with it. Oh my god, look at that. Yeah, so, oh, what? Oh yeah, I did the glitch, so I went through there. But yeah, make sure you practice one-handed. It's going to be really important when you're trying to hit stuff high. Right, so when you pendulum swim and you go into a dive turn, there's this point where you want your hand to be out and you want to give it just like a split second so that it, what I call catches the water. Otherwise, if you try to dive turn too fast, it just will never catch. Like I can kind of show you here. Even if I stick my hand out and I try to dive turn, it kind of did it there because I was going slow. But especially when you're fast, you want to just keep your hand there for a second and then you can start dive turning around. Otherwise, you're just going to have your hand out here and you won't move anywhere. So make sure at least like give it just like a split second, keep your hand straight, and then you can start moving it and it should be good to go. All right, tip number 9. This is important if you're trying to get away from a tagger. When you're pendulum swimming, make sure you're dive turning up and down while you're going through the water. Otherwise, you're just going to be on like a simple plane like this, and it's much easier for someone to stay on your level and just kind of turn into you. Whereas if you go up and down, now they have to worry about, are they on the same level as you, and they have to hit you. So make sure when you're just going through the water, you want to get good at just kind of going up and down like this, or like especially when you're turning, because I could have someone there and you just turn a little bit and it can make it a whole lot harder for someone to tag you. Otherwise, they can just go as fast as they can on the same level as you and they kind of just turn into you. But if you're going up and down, they have to guess. They're going to go like left or right and then also up and down, which makes it a whole lot harder. Make sure you're doing this. Otherwise, you're going to get tagged really easily. All right, final tip number 10. I'm not going to be cheesy and say go subscribe, even though you should go do that. But tip number 10 is for people who are still having a hard time actually pendulum swimming still. I'm going to slowly go through what my hands look like so that maybe you can like pull it up when you're in game or something, and you make sure you're exactly doing this with your hands, all right? So when I'm doing this, I'm going to be going this way. I'm just turning my body this way so you can see my hands, because for some reason it's like my FOV isn't your guys' FOV, so I'm going to turn, but in the game, you're going to be going this way, okay? So my hands are here. I bring them down slowly like this. They stay here. They get around here, and they're still this way. Oops, I'm sinking. And then you pull them upwards, and they should go going up like that. And then once you're here, you twist. And it's just that much of a twist. See, I almost went too much over because I kind of forgot how much it is. But when you're going up here, it's not that much of a twist. It's just like that. That's how much it is. You're going from this way to there, and then you bring them back down, and it looks like that. Don't twist them too much at the top, otherwise you're going to be over twisting, and you see this is not where you want to be. You just want to be here. So altogether, it kind of looks like this. So just practice that, guys. I think really the most you should take away is, if you already know how to pendulum swim, make sure you're using that momentum. That really helps a lot of people because you can get really tired really fast doing this. But if you use the momentum and you kind of swing your body a little bit, it helps you a lot. Also, there's a few things I didn't say in here just because I don't want to repeat. So be sure to go watch my original pendulum swim tutorial if you haven't already. Anyways, guys, peace.